Hello, folks. We are back. I am the Ruthless Wonder, not a Ruthless Wonder. You are listening to the WRATH of Ruthless. I got my co-host Brittany with me. We are going to be doing what is quote unquote a short show. Um, Basically, it's because we're going to go right to the point. You heard the music, you know what it is. We're getting right to it. So, of course, go check out GoFundMe.com/StorageWarriors to donate and to share, helping out my brother with his expenses during his heart transplant. Be sure to check out Ruby Jean's Juicery, 40th and Broadway, Kansas City, Missouri. Great guy over there, Chris Good runs the place. In the just recently announced to be in the top 100 companies on Yelp, and so he has recently been working with them. Good to see him doing well. Chris is a great guy. You know, Lord has been blessing him quite a lot lately, so I'm happy for him. Go get his juice. Of course, check out weekendlife.com. That's just press play at WKNDLIFE.com. You will see some brand new content coming up here over the next few days as we get into movies you didn't know you needed, as well as, of course, our TV stuff for Stream Life. So check that out at weekendlife.com, aka WKNDLIFE.com. You can also get there by putting in weekends don't do it justice. Of course, you can support all of our shows by going on to 314 Publishing. Going on to tpublic.com/314 Publishing. As you can see, the sale is still going on. I extended the sale through the rest of the month, literally until November 2nd. Yes, even if you miss it because you're drunk on Halloween, you can get the sale price. So until November 2nd, you can get all of our logos on sale. A new logo is coming to fit in that space. Can't tell you when that's coming, but it is coming soon. So check that out as well. tpublic.com/314 Publishing. And of course, I want to give a quick shout out to Courtney Alexander. She is a friend of mine through one of the groups I'm in on Facebook. She was doing this Dust 2 Onyx, a melanated tarot card deck. It did, as of last night at some point, officially get fully backed. So Monday is when it will officially expire and she'll be able to actually produce the project. But shout out to her. Check it out on Kickstarter. Get your pre-orders in now. You can literally go to dust2onyx.com and you can do your pre-order now. You can see some of the African-based art for the major arcana. And like I said, check it out. You can have a little, take a look at the video, get to see her, get to see why she decided to do this project. A lot of folks have been talking about it. Made it on Huffington Post. It's made it on a bunch of different blog sites. Of course, we got to talk about it here. I was really happy to hear that from her. So, all that running through stuff aside, Brittany, how are you? Good. I too want Chipotle. It is now coming to Grandview, Missouri. I am very happy I don't have to drive across town to get Chipotle. Um, but this show, despite being short, is really focused. I wanted to know. I wanted to make the show kind of uh, uh, tighter together than even our usual stuff. A lot less of the digressions and the all of my crazy stuff. I wanted to kind of focus it on something, and that's of course the I dare say black women's revolution in film and television. Certainly, there have been plenty of black women who have contributed in major ways to both directing film, producing film, writing screenplays, as well as doing television things of that nature. But I wanted to talk about these three pieces in, I guess three pieces on one end and then one situation on another, because we got to mix them all in. I wanted to kind of talk about them in this lens of the sort of finally having a what seems like a true trust in coming out by both um, entertainment and I hate to say public sector, but you know what I mean. Like, basically, no longer having a lot of the stigmas attached. Now, obviously, not all gone, but having black women really taking their own place in the public sphere. So I wanted to couch that in two things. The first, I wanted to ask you about: did you see what happened on this Delta flight? So, uh, this this disturbed me. Obviously, I shared it on Facebook myself and on Twitter. For those people who listen to our show but maybe didn't catch what happened, on a Delta Airlines flight, a black woman who is a doctor, um, her name is Tamika Cross, was flying from Detroit to Minneapolis when somebody had a medical emergency, and they asked for basically any doctor, and then uh, the woman told her to put her hand down. The flight attendant who asked told her to put her hand down and said, "We're looking for actual physicians or some kind of medical personnel." Now, that it then went into a whole deal of this woman asking Tamika Cross for her credentials and all this other material that no one else was asked. A white man later comes up and she doesn't ask him for his credentials, just lets him kind of get involved. And then they come back to Mrs. Cross, I don't know which one it is, to ask her more questions about medical stuff, despite everything that happened. Um, since you already have kind of delved deep into this, how did you feel when you ran across this, like initially? Yeah. You would have to have some major psychological issue for that, like for you to lie about being a doctor in the middle of an emergency on a plane. Yeah. Uh, hold on. For the record, we are not giving a legal synopsis of what could have happened in this particular case. The Wrath of Ruthless, Matthew and Elisha Williams, and of course Brittany Robinson, do not, in fact, dispense legal advice over podcasts. Please call a lawyer if you need to know your stuff. Hey, hey. Rule number one: cover your ass, and that's what we're doing here. Right.
Like, this man, we don't know if a nurse would have helped. We don't know. And she just said, oh, we're not talking about other medical professionals. Just stop it. You know, first of all, nurses know a lot, but that's besides the point. But second of all, you are not qualified to make the assessment of what this man needed. So why would you even think that you were qualified to look at credentials? You know, like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, like, and honestly, even if you thought she was a nurse, if that's what your thought process is, you would want the nurse there anyway to assist both the doctor and just in case there isn't a doctor on the plane. Like, I don't know that I assume a doctor's going to be on the plane.
Right, the nurse knows what flight attendant, even if she were a nurse. Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah. I know. Our next door neighbors in the house I grew up in, um, their daughter was flight attendant for a number of years. There's no way she had more medical knowledge than a nurse at any point, much less a doctor at any point. And yeah, if somebody raises their hand to, is there a doctor in the house? You gotta assume it's a doctor. Like, that was the thing that got me. But it goes deeper. I don't know if you've seen this, but it goes deeper. So, folks, I'm putting this up for our SoundCloud listeners. One, sorry it took so long to get this uploaded. I'm just gonna apologize for that in the first place. But the this situation got deeper in that somebody else on the plane who was also a medical professional, a doctor. I don't know what this person's profession is. Decided to hop on and make comments that we shouldn't believe to make across the story because she was dressed unprofessionally. Now, that's my thought process. Now, I will admit that when I get on planes, I am in one of two modes. I either have on these like cargo pants with a bunch of pockets in them because they're very comfortable, or in the wintertime, I have a pair of sweats I wear that has an extra pocket on them, and I look like just some random dude in sweats. You would never think to ask me a legal question whatsoever. But I dare somebody to be like, well, I didn't get to see his bar card so he could prove he was a lawyer. And then he was dressed in sweatpants. How would you know he was a lawyer dressed in sweatpants? It was so unprofessional. Well, yeah, well, you know. but it, but no, what I'm saying, like, it's just as. I'm not necessarily saying on the plane. I'm just saying in general. Like, I'm not always in a suit and. No, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like in a general situation, I'm not every day. I'm not dressed in a suit and a pair of Kenneth Cole shoes. Like, that's not my everyday attire. It's when I'm going to work. Yeah.
Story about how, these things actually happen, and a lot of people in our classes and stuff, they get out of the market, and next thing you know, somebody is like, they can't breathe, and you have to do something, or you're just like, God, I was not prepared. I don't really walking around like, oh my God, I failed. Fire in
No. But what does exist is getting asked to describe something that happened at, be it accident, be it fight, be it whatever, and you're forced to be a witness at the scene. And unfortunately, I'm not allowed to just walk off and say I don't care. But yeah,
I mean, okay, look.
you get what I'm saying. I'm saying like it. I'm saying that clothing is not indicative of what a person's profession is. That's
No, I
all I'm
totally
saying.
get it, but I'm saying, like, I know, I'm saying, but I'm saying, like, I get what you're saying, but I'm saying that this man's argument is even more. Well, I was kind of focusing on like making jokes about your comparison. That was
Yeah.
funny, making jokes, totally guilty. But I was also trying to bring it around back to the point that this man's assessment is very, very stupid and limited because so how in the world do you come to the point of saying somebody should assess the way someone is dressed in an emergency?
Yeah.
Are you serious? Like, I mean, if you have time to sit and say, well, I can't believe this woman, because you know what? Her clothes are dirty. You don't know if that woman has a kid who just, like, got dirty and, caused her to get dirty. Or you don't know if this woman had a baby who just, like, spit up on her or something. That does not mean anything. And this is say unprofessional so many things. Does someone need to always travel in a business suit for you to believe that they are a professional, a medical professional? That doesn't. Most doctors don't even dress like that. And then what you're looking for in order to believe that this person is a doctor, most times, is you're looking for a white coat. And why would a doctor travel in their white coat?
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if everybody had to dress like their profession everywhere they went?
No, I cannot. I would not like that world at all.
Like
I would not like that world at all.
every mechanic has to be dressed like a mechanic at all times in jumpsuits.
And she's saying like she has to be wearing scrubs, she has to be wearing a white coat. Like doctors, there is no professional doctor dress aside from the white coat and scrubs. So that lets me know what he's saying is also very racist and based on respectability politics. And I
Yeah.
don't subscribe to what he's saying at all. That is totally stupid if you're walking around here saying, oh, don't believe this woman. She's saying she's a doctor because you know what? She wasn't dressed professionally. What? Are you serious?
And Crocs, you forgot the Crocs.
Yeah, I mean, like who in the world? That's doctors scrub down for a reason when they go into the OR,
Yeah.
when they go out of when they leave the OR, because they have to go function in the world like the rest of us and like normal people. They do not leave saying, I want to make sure everyone knows that I'm a doctor. I want to make sure that everyone knows. And frankly, I'm going to be real. Since we're talking about talking about lawyers and we're talking about doctors and we're talking about engineers, I know people that are all three that don't look like they're all three.
Yeah.
If you talk to them, you're just like, what? How did this happen? So it really, even if they're dressed up in their Sunday best, you will listen to them talk and be like, that's not you. Please sit down, sir. So the dress is that is so stupid just because they come with their dress.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. And I further was bothered by it when and for folks who don't know, I went to law school in Florida, so Brittany was the same school. Uh, Someone who is a couple of years in the law ahead of me, Jessica Thomas of Thomas Law, PLLC, I think, is the official title. But Jessica detailed on her Facebook some situations that have occurred to her as a black woman who's an attorney and being asked to, basically prove she's an attorney in courthouses, producing her credentials and whatnot, her bar card and sector to get on into court. Um, that just kind of stopped, and it's everything to do with the fact that I'm a man, and regardless of whether the security was male or female, or trans for that matter, like once they knew it was over. It wasn't a question. And some places I didn't have to do it the first time. I say they just asked me, "Am I an attorney?" and just let me through. And that's when people talk about you don't understand your privilege, that if you're glossing over that situation, that's what they're talking about. And stuff like that. It's like this woman got asked for her bar card when every attorney was in front of her wasn't asked for anything. But if she was a guy doing that, they wouldn't have done a thing. So it's in all arenas. Uh, I am glad she's taking action with Delta. I would hope that Delta itself really tries to rectify the situation, because for their own sakes, because this is not the time to have racial discrimination issues in this country. As a corporation, you are asking to be beaten black and blue, so to speak, uh, monetarily following that kind of stuff. So there's that going on. I'm actually, like I said, I'm really happy she's escalating things to make sure it's taken care of. But I want to get us out of this sort of darker topic, I guess is the best way to put it. It's not all that dark. It's just sad situation. And I wanted to talk about well, I want to talk about some good stuff. And I want to start at a very cool place. We're going to start with um, Netflix's 13th. Have you seen it yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Don't say anything about it. We're going to do a full on review. So you folks that subscribe will find out when that review is coming. It'll be later this week. Check it out at weekendlife.com. But 13th, of course, is a documentary done by Ava DuVernay, who, of course, you know from quite a few different pictures at this point, as well as announced projects and TV shows. And she's exploring sort of the mass incarceration problem through the lens of the abolition of slavery through the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. It's on Netflix, really easy to catch, really easy watch. I felt like it was one of those like, all right, I can sit down, I can stay interested, I'm engaged, and it didn't really kind of. There were some documentaries I know like you have that breaking point where you're like, I don't want to keep watching this, or this is getting boring, even though the topic's interesting. I don't really feel like that happens here. It definitely will challenge how you feel about the system. Um, you know, obviously there's a little bit of extra umph for me, um, but it really is an amazing thing. I hope you guys check it out. But I wanted to talk about, without talking about this documentary, I wanted to talk about the counter programming nature of it. Um, Brittany, I know you purposely did not see the Birth of a Nation, um,
Right.
and
I was tired of,
yeah,
trying to kind of, pants to stand on, but I'm just tired of.
I saw the movie. I won't be doing a review on it. It was that bad. Okay, people.
Well, I mean, I didn't even see 12 Years a Slave. Like
Yeah.
I haven't seen a slave movie like that in like I know years and years. And I'm so tired of slave movies, but I
No, I get it.
digress.
But I wanted to talk about. I only bring that up because it seems to be. I want to get how you feel about this. There seems to be a counter programming push against the Birth of a Nation to instead see this documentary on Netflix 13th. Um, and as a black woman, I wanted to get your perspective on not necessarily the two films, because like I said, we'll do the review for 13th, and you're just not going to get me to review uh, the Birth of a Nation. Like I'm just not. That's not happening. But I wanted to know how you felt about this idea of people essentially pitting the two of them against each other. Um, Obviously, to the Birth of a Nation's detriment, I don't believe that they're going to make it to their budget, much less what Fox Searchlight paid for it. Um, at last count, I think they were at 7 million. But I wanted to, like I said, get your thoughts, how you feel about that notion of them pitting Ava DuVernay's film versus Nate Parker's film, and obviously, any of your thoughts kind of around that as well.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. When I say I don't have any full stance to stand on when it comes to Birth of a Nation, let me just explain myself first. This is what I mean. Full stance to stand on meaning like why I wouldn't see it. Um, say cool. Like I think when I say cool, I mean like well thought out stance or well thought out position. So I'm not saying anything or asserting anything gay or nay, regardless of how people feel about it. I think that all the arguments I've heard for why people won't see it are very valid
Yeah.
in terms of birth rate. They're very valid arguments. Um, I, however, checked out of every single thing surrounding the film when I first heard about it coming out. Because I mean, even though I think the story of Nat Turner is important to tell, I mean, there are so many films that choose overlook the black experience in so many ways that I'm just waiting before I can even see because we've grown up seeing a lot of movies where black people are oppressed or a lot of movies where racism is very 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 like prevalent and you can look at it and you can say and in fact the central focus of the movie means racism. But I'm just
Hmm.
We're just at a place where we don't want to see black people in chains anymore. You know, I just don't want to see black people in chains anymore. So when I say cool, I'm like, you you have a very well thought out position, and I totally respect it. And I think that that what you're saying is very valid. I, however, had nothing to the conversation you're having because I knew the moment I heard about the movie, when the movie came out, that's when all the allegations started to surface because I didn't know about them before. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, well, everybody knows. I'm not gonna say, oh, everyone, regardless of these allegations, you support someone who has these types of things surrounding them. I'm not gonna tell anybody that. I mean, because as a woman, I'm just not gonna do it. I'm not gonna tell you to go support somebody when these types of allegations are there, because I don't feel like I need to tell anybody how they should feel about these types of allegations or anybody who that has been accused of things.
Right.
I didn't get in it because I knew when I heard about this movie, I wasn't gonna see it. So that's what I'm saying when I say that. So keep going with the thought pieces, keep going with whatever it is people are writing. I'm totally behind you writing it, get it all out there. I just won't have anything to add to the conversation that will be of substance because, I wasn't going to see the film anyway. As far as 13 goes, though, 13 is pitting it against Birth of a Nation.
Hmm.
I think that's a little bit unfair because it's a film, even though it's based on actual person. One is a film that is entirely, you know, about
One's historical
everything. It's
fiction,
not a
one's a
documentary.
documentary. Yeah.
It's not a documentary. I mean, I didn't know if it would be fiction because a person, but I don't know what the
Well,
term is.
I'm calling the Birth of a Nation historical fiction partly out of spite, but yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay,
I
okay,
mean, because it is
okay. I got
technically a
you.
biopic. It is. All right, just real quick.
Yeah,
Let me throw this out here. All right, so folks, the reason why
yeah. Well,
I have to
let me say
parse
this.
it. Go for it.
Okay.
No, I'm saying the reason I have to parse it is there are no direct accounts of Nat Turner's life, so there is no way to actually say what we know is exactly how everything happened. That's all I'm saying. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, I think what I'm saying is the documentary delves deep, like the actual or social or whatever topic it delves into that as some story without a plot around it, without anything. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's why I think it's a very unfair. It's unfair for people to against one another like this. Go to each one. Um, unfair. But I will say I cannot say about Netflix. I mean, it was so good, and not only was it good, I think that it was also very well thought out. And well thought out in the way around why the 13th so a new form of slavery through incarceration. It was very well thought out. Like they looked at the writing and the wording of the 13th. They said, okay, you know what? Because these words exist and I hate to say this, but I went to law school, and even in law school, we did not spend a whole lot of time in constitutional law actually constitution itself. You spend a lot of time learning cases, a lot of time. So the 13th one time before, but I didn't actually dissect the language of it. So I kind of felt, but that's another story and another topic for another day. But yeah, so when they were doing that and going through it and by finding this people in the U.S., I was just like, whoa, like you were actually able to, glean that from. So all of the scholars that you spoke with, and I love Angela Davis. I love her work. I think that I was like, oh, not movie, the documentary. I was like, yes, this just got super duper visual for me. I love about it. So if you have a chance to see it, and I'm trying to just really talk around it a little bit because I don't want to talk about it too much of it. But bottom line, see it. But I think it's unfair to compare the two, just because for one thing. out of it, but out of it next. But they're two styles of art, two different works, you know.
And go ahead and Ava DuVernay's like tell me how you feel about seeing 13th at the same time as you have Queen Sugar on television, because I definitely think it presents two different sides to Ava DuVernay's directing ability and talent as well. Because I think people like I think it's a really interesting study in how she approaches more fictional accounts versus this kind of documentary style as well. Because I think this might be maybe her first or second documentary ever. I'm not certain on that.
I'm not really sure. But here's the thing. I didn't think that was her first one. If this was her first documentary, just looking at it, if this was her first documentary, that is absolutely. I didn't think it was because this looks like for her entire career. So if you look at this documentary and you take it in, this looks like a actual documentary filmmaker made this, a very experienced documentary filmmaker, I should say. So I don't know if it is wow, but I think for context, just that just everything she's done, whether it be Selma, whether it be or everything, it just makes me praise her even more because her work is just amazing, and it's amazing in all facets. I mean, for one thing, Big Sugar though specifically, I think what she does very well, and what she also brings to 13 that she brings to Big Sugar, is she talks about Black experience as it pertains to Black experience in criminal justice. If you look at Queen Sugar is very, very much like a large part of centered around the criminal justice and its treatment of African Americans. So if you think about that, you look at 13, say, okay, I completely understand that this is very important to her. I can take that from looking at both of them. But she's not afraid to shy. She's not afraid to tackle it. She doesn't shy with any of her work. So I like it. I like that about her. I like that she's out there like that. Um, and I don't know. I don't really there's any point that she's trying to make outside of the system is essentially broken. I don't know if there's any other point that she's trying to make besides that. I would have to go back and look, but that's what I take away from it. And I think she's very correct in a lot of ways. I think it is.
Yeah. All right. So I want to switch gears, like I said, to talking about Queen Sugar, as well as though the show that we have added. Yes, folks, we're adding another review. Uh, the show we've added to the review queue, which is Issa Rae's Insecure. Now, as I said before, Brittany got me into this one. Uh, Found out there was an advanced screening for folks who had HBO and HBO Go. Obviously, tonight's the second episode. We're gonna kind of pick up from there and keep going. Uh, when you first heard about Insecure and it being similar to her YouTube series, like, were you expecting what you got in the first episode?
Yes and no.
Okay.
No, I mean, very different from the series, and I knew it's very different from the series, and I kind of knew that it would be. Um, hold on one second.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting some feedback from the chat just saying that people can't hear me.
People can't hear you.
No, I can't see her. Oh, okay. It's Vandavius, and he can't hear me.
Huh. Let's get that fixed then.
Can you hear me now?
Hopefully. Well,
No. But I think everything's done. You can hear me, so I guess something must be working.
yeah, it's odd that it's not. I don't. the only way to get an additional would be to switch in the secondary audio. Let me try. Yeah, we can hear you fine. So there we go. That's good.
Okay. All right. Good. All right. So, um, pretty much, I think that it was very different from the web series, definitely. But it was so the humor and everything else. The humor was there. The humor I remember from Awkward Black Girl. Awkward Black Girl is her web series that is actually the Insecure actually is the child of
Right.
but it's really the humor is still on point. And of course, the HBO budget and all of that only adds to it. The most you got to go through some really interesting locations in Insecure as opposed to Aqua Black Girl, which was just centered around, her house, um, her workplace, maybe someone else's apartment. It was very, very cool. I liked it.
Yeah. See, obviously, you're the one that got me into Issa Rae stuff. Uh, I guess all right. So from my perspective, because I guess we've been doing a lot of your perspective here. From my perspective, I really like that you have kind of the divergent perspectives going on, so that people don't feel like you have to be in one lane. Um, I'm trying to put this in the right words. I feel like a lot of times we as a people kind of get stuck into being only this kind of entertainer, only this kind of professional, only this kind of this or that. And I feel like I felt like in the last few years there has been a fairly major attempt to get more I guess more availability for us to be in different spaces. So you can have a a very serious film out of someone like Ava DuVernay doing Selma. It's in its biopic nature, but she can also do a documentary. You can have her also do a straight up television show that's entirely fiction. You can still have your Shonda Rhimes land, but you can also get an Issa Rae doing like straight up awkward comedy for the awkward people out there that come in all races. I like that that's become a thing, and I think it's very interesting and positive that yeah, the face of this are black women. Um, because I think it's one of the trappings that we have to deal with, unfortunately. As men, we at some point can't do things because it's not manly, and we're not allowed to. Like half of the reason that Atlanta is funny from Donald Glover is that like he doesn't care about those conventions, and he's like, I'm still Childish Gambino, I'm still Donald Glover the comedian, I'm all of those things, and I can do this show that tackles these issues. But by having him flanked with all of these other women doing these amazing shows, doing really high quality work, um, I just feel like it makes everyone more able to, sort of be themselves. And I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know if you agree with that or not. But it felt like to me like, yeah, I don't know that black men could do this and bring it. What's up?
Just a little bit confused about why you're putting Donald Glover against Ray in this.
I'm not putting him against him. I'm saying like, all right, so Donald Glover's Atlanta works
Yeah, not
because of.
against, but talking about them, well, talking about them together, using them as examples, I should say, not putting them against one another. But I'm a little bit unsure of where Donald Glover comes in.
Because he's not afraid to be weird, and most black men are afraid to be weird on television.
Okay.
Like the other
Okay.
black male created shows, major ones at least, are Power and Empire. I,
Okay.
you know what I mean? Like Lee Daniels has a direction and a narrative that he wants to get across with Empire. 50 Cent just wants to be, as 50 Cent as possible with power. Donald Glover gets to be weird. But quality wise, Queen Sugar and Insecure are better shows. And I feel like it benefits us all for them to be these great shows just straight out of the gate. Like, I'll pull it up for you guys to see it as you guys are watching on the live stream. We have an 84 Metascore right now for Insecure and a 75 for Queen Sugar season one. Like, straight out the gate, amazing. And I just feel like it is good for everyone that, like I said, that black women have taken control in these spaces and are getting their stories across, and makes it more able to just say, like, no, you don't have to be like everyone else in the way you do things. Like, Ava DuVernay is famous as a director, and it's to the point where, like, her name is famous. You know who she is, guaranteed from jump. You know who Shonda Rhimes is, guaranteed from jump. Like, people who are not film people know who both of them are. Issa Rae, I think, is going to get there as well, and that's just something that's, like, refreshing. Like, because I can think of the black directors that everybody knows: John Singleton, Spike Lee, and that's it. You know what I mean? Like that. Like, to say in the same breath that, like, no, these women who are directors are amazing enough that one, I think, is going to be, like, a major name, and the other one already is. I mean, Marvel came after her to get her to do a movie. Like, ultimately, it didn't work out fine, but, like, that says something amazing to me. And I guess, like I said, I mean, if you feel differently, you feel differently. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, but that's just my thought process.
Well, I'm just happy black women in particular are getting that they deserve. Sandra has mentioned there's that's Grey's Anatomy, but I think that black women, as far as comedy, lately as they should have been. So now to see that change, it is actually amazing considering what Issa is doing. I feel like um, what happened when I can't remember the actual stats, but I think when Tracee Ellis Ross was nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Best Actress in a Comedy at this past Emmy, I think there hadn't been a black woman in that category in what, like 30 years or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Number. Yeah, and I was like, whoa, seriously? That whole thing came out a couple years ago about black women not being funny or something. And I'm like, that's the furthest thing from the truth possible. Like, my mom's freaking hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, I'm saying my mom, because I'm like, I know black women personally are absolutely hilarious. So to say we're not funny, there could be nothing further from the truth. So I like that she's actually up. And as a black woman who loves comedy, I love that she's actually up and making space for us, and it's amazing. And not just a space on HBO. That's huge. Um, so I'm just gonna focus on this for a minute. I'm happy that black women are getting the time that we deserve. Like, that's all that matters to me right now.
Yeah. Like, I think it's sort of a grand, notion that has become a wonderful reality. And I'm trying to think, I can't remember the director's name for the life of me. I'm gonna actually have to look this up. There's a director who I thought never really got her due, even though she made what I thought was an amazing film. And
What kind of film was it?
drama.
Oh, okay.
Let's see here. Yeah. Oh, okay. So she's made some movies since then, and she's got one that came out fairly recently. I just really hate the movie that she came out with recently. Um, have you ever heard the name Cassie Lemons before?
No, I have not.
All right. First off, some Missouri pride. She's from St. Louis. I'll forgive the St. Louis part of that problem. Uh, but she is the director for one of the films I've always said is one of my favorite films, and that's Eve's Bayou, the
Okay.
Sam Jackson Lynn Whitfield movie, with of course, Megan Good and Journey Smollett. But yeah, like I felt like she never got her due for that movie, and it's interesting because I think if that came out now, people would be all over it. Like in this renaissance for 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 black women in entertainment. Like I feel like it was a great movie at the wrong time. Like folks, go back and watch it. We're not going to do a whole review of that movie as well. But she's one of those directors that like you watch what she does with this film and how she does tells this story that the only thing that's black about it is the fact that these are black actors and actresses. Like, and at the same time, it's uniquely an African American experience because of where they are. Like she weaves this everyone and yet only a certain group thing throughout the entire film. And I thought she never got her due for that movie, even though it was a stellar film. Uh, and I feel like that's kind of stopped happening. You know, it took years later for that movie to really get recognized as well as it should. And now I feel like if you had a film like that come out now, if a young black woman decided to make one of those stellar dramas that she wrote and directed it, I feel like she might get the actual due she deserves. Like I really feel like we are close to the point where we're going to see that first win for black women as director at the Oscars. I feel like we're at that point where we're going to see you know actual outrage when certain films are not put in. I think if Queen Sugar and Insecure aren't up for Emmys this year, people are going to have a problem with that. I think 13 is going to sweep a lot of the documentary categories as well. But I think that comes from a place of we've grown as a country. Um, and like I said, I'm just happy to see the talent there. I wish I had a lot more to say about it, honestly. But I'm just I'm happy with it. I'm deep in it. So
Yeah, I agree.
I'm wondering what's going to be next. Uh,
I'm not really sure, but I feel like whatever is coming next is going to be just as great as everything else. You know what I would really like to see? I'd really like to see a major film where a black woman, a major comedy film, to get to like the level of Mean Girls,
hmm,
Mean Girls fame, and a black woman as the star.
I can see it. Can't be too far away. I feel like that's closer and closer. Yeah, I'd like to see. Oh, she's doing something. Like she's doing. Ava DuVernay's doing something else as well. I know it's something. That's what it is.
Oh,
She's doing A Wrinkle in Time.
yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I remember hearing about that. Yeah, I think she's the first black woman to direct a $100 million movie.
yeah. They're giving a lot of money to A Wrinkle in Time. Oh wow, this is so right now. Stars, as far as we know, Reese Witherspoon, Mindy Kaling, and Oprah Winfrey. Reese is Mrs. What's-It, Mindy Kaling as Mrs. Who, and Oprah as Mrs. Which.
See, this is going to be a huge,
With
huge movie, and it's going to
with
be really good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I like I said, folks, I just wanted to take today and I just wanted to talk about these awesome black women. Like honestly, that was really all I had for the show. I just wanted to talk about them being awesome and how like awesome it is, how awesome all the things they're doing currently, really are. Um, just because I feel like we don't do that enough in this country. Like,
No. In fact, a lot of black women get like persecuted in the country for daring to make art.
Yeah.
You know, there are so many people that, I mean, a black woman can make something and it'll just be criticized just because she made it. You know, and you know, of course, if you face this white male or maybe even a white woman, it would be totally acceptable. But black women have to fight to it's just for existing in certain realms. You know, it's really
Yeah.
ridiculous. It's crazy. And well, you know, I've told you about my experience with that.
Yeah.
You're well aware, but you know, it's just kind of like wow, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and for you Disney fans, I'm gonna break your hearts real quick. They are making a live action Mulan movie, and apparently there's now a white male love interest. Have fun with that one. Um,
In Mulan,
yeah, yeah, the live action version is gonna have a white male love interest. Um, yeah, yeah. I hope you didn't think Disney was gonna stop being Disney. Come on now. Uh,
I mean, wow,
yeah.
that is oh gosh. I mean, what what's wrong with casting an Asian man?
Who knows?
That's so ridiculous. Oh my gosh, like I want to know how they're going to justify, you know, the white man being in the army,
In a
in China's army.
in a Chinese army versus a
I would like to,
Mongolian army. Yeah.
yeah, I would like to know how that's going to work out. Like that is so offensive. That is, yeah.
Yeah. We'll save that for another show. I just I got sent that I heard about it and then it got confirmed by somebody else just a little bit ago while we were talking here. So I just wanted to
That's that reminds me of what Constance Wu said, you know, about Matt Damon being in the movie. Like you've got to
yeah
stop this ridiculous notion that white people are saving color. That is absolutely, or you know, just I mean, she said that, but she's referring to you know that movie in particular. But it's still kind of like you know, did we really need? I take that to mean like, okay, we need a white person in this movie, or it's not gonna make it. That's not how life works.
yeah, but Mulan made it without a white
You know,
person in the movie.
exactly. But I mean, I'm just saying that's how it's supposed to be taken.
Yeah,
That's what I think it's being the message that's being sent is that we need a white person in order for this movie to work, and that's clearly not the case. People will watch a film with people of color. Everyone will survive. Are you crazy? Like people will live. Man.
yeah, no, I'm with you. So hate to bring it down like that for the end of the show here, but that is something that has occurred. Um, but yeah, I look forward to more stuff from both of them. Um, we're like I said, we're gonna get reviews out for this stuff here coming up, so you guys will be able to really get our thoughts on the talent side of this whole endeavor. Um, Queen Sugar when the season's over. Insecure will be as each episode comes out, and of course 13th probably next week, not this coming week, but the week after. As I get ready for a couple of other big changes, including we're getting closer and closer to the debut of the WRATH of Ruthless Patreon, so you guys can directly support the show through Patreon and whatnot. And yeah, that's really all we got today. Like me and Brittany, you know, we're just basking in the awesomeness of Black women today.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people mad about that too. I'm sure there's people who normally comment that are not commenting today because they're pissed off about the idea of us just loving on Black women for the whole hour we've been talking.
Oh well, screw them. Okay, they can go suck a
Sucks for
butt.
them.
Yeah, go suck
You
a
could have
butt.
said suck a
That's what
bag
it
of
is.
dicks. I would have been fine with that. You could have said that one. That'd been fine.
Well,
Lick a bag of
I
pussies.
mean,
Lick a bag of pussies. There we go. That'll work better.
that's just like it's so ridiculous, so stupid. But that you know, I'm not gonna let anybody ruin my day for today because this awesome black woman is about to go to Chipotle.
Well, enjoy the
I'm gonna
Chipotle.
Chipotle and I'm gonna guac on. I'm done. I'm putting guac on.
I'm very
In the
anti
name
guac,
of my,
but
in the name.
go for
Oh my
yours.
God. What? God. can't trust people that don't like guacamole. That's crazy.
I've told you why I don't like guacamole. We literally had a 2-hour conversation about why I don't like guacamole.
But you act like guac attacks you. Never ever try guac or like I can't remember. Do you like avocado period or are you anti-avocado?
No, I'm not anti-avocado. I have had avocado in a positive fashion, but it's mushy like peas when they make guacamole, and I hate that texture. Like that's just what it is.
Okay, well, you know what?
Avocado is awesome though. Like
That sounds like that's probably something you can work out with yourself.
yes, man, swang when you see me. Yeah.
Exactly. That's what that he is very salty about this guacamole.
Like, oh.
And I'm salty that he doesn't like guacamole. Guacamole is like the best thing that's ever happened.
No, steak is the greatest thing that's ever happened. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
You who refuses to eat steak don't get to talk about how awesome or non awesome steak is.
I don't know why anybody would want to eat that. It's like eating a side of a beast.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like eating the side of a beast. No, that
It is.
Crazy. Like,
It's literally eating the side of a beast.
that is,
When I eat them, I absorb their power. I become stronger. My villainy grows.
All,
yes, I do.
First of all, cows aren't even that strong. You act like you're eating like,
I fought bulls. I fought bulls, so I take the cows and eat them to remind them not to fuck with me. That's my power. People are like, what is wrong with him? Listen. Power. Steak is power. Food wars. Yes. But yeah. But we're gonna, folks. We love y'all, but we're gonna go do stuff. She's going to Chipotle. I'm literally gonna go cook a steak right now. So we will holler at you guys next time. I am the Ruthless Wonder for 314 Publishing, Imperial Dreams Productions. Words don't do it justice. Weekends don't do it justice over at weekendlife.com, WKNDLIFE.com. Everybody at Geek Street Radio, and of course, my wonderful co-host Brittany. I am the Ruthless Wonder, not a Ruthless Wonder, and you have been listening to the Wrath of Ruthless. See you next time. Bye bye.